Dear children, good morning to all. Whether it is a morning or whether it is evening, we people should treat both evening and morning as the same. As the people say, morning is a pleasure time. So, even if it is evening, we have to treat that it is a morning, because morning time is a pleasant and happiest time. So, until we reach our goal, we have to treat all the day, even the night time, we have to treat that evening time and night time as the morning time, as the pleasure and happiness concern. Right, okay. Dear students, this is session for plus 2 English. The title we will discuss, I will get from you the title. My dear children, you could have rounded in your village or in your town or any tourist places. You could have seen or you could have climbed on the mountain, that is Erkadu, here Pachamalai, Kollimalai, Javad Hills and some other hills. How will you go to the top of a hill or a top of a mountain? For Dottapetta, how will you go? Simply you will say that, sir, we have used the transport like car, bus and two-wheelers with Pakka roads. We never feel any tired and we never feel any adventure. We never feel any overjoy and hard work while climbing on these hills or a mountain, because you are moving with sophisticated movements on a flat surface road, a Pakka roads. We never feel any tired. Simply we will say that I reached Dottapetta, I have seen the natural scenic beauty of Ooty, and you will be sharing your joyful happy moments about your trip to your friends. But moving to the top without any vehicle or without any roads is a tough job. Reaching the top of a mountain by using the hard on the way to top, the mountaineers happen to use rough path by crossing valleys, plateaus, hills, big rocks and big trees. And sometimes if they go like Himalayas, the Mount Everest, the people will move with a lot of equipments, because they are moving towards the top. How? Not on plain roads. The area which is completely covered with ice. Just think over, you are reaching top of the mountain and the people, those who are undertaking a journey to reach the top of the mountain, that is Everest, there are a lot of difference to reach the top of mountains, you and the mountaineers. In this lesson, we are going to see about the mountaineers. I mean the hill, the summit. The summit means top of the mountain. Top of the mountain. It is a tough job to reach the top of the mountain, I mean Mount Everest, which is located on the Himalayan mountains. Here the author, the title of the lesson is The Summit, the top of the mountain, written by Edmund Hillary. Here, the author narrates his own experience, how he has reached the top of the mountain with his assistant Densing Norgay from Nepal. So, here their narrating is their experience. So, we will through this lesson what the Edmund Hillary narrates his experience to reach the top of the mountain, we will see. Actually, to the Edmund Hillary, not only to the Edmund Hillary, for everybody, the adventure and expedition and exploration are thrilling. When it is real, it is more exciting. Actually, the Edmund Hillary is an epitome of adventure, expedition and exploration. Dear children, before going to see the lesson, the summit, we should go through the hard words which are given in the textbook. We should get a clear meaning of the words, then only we can understand the lesson. Some words, the hard words I have taken from the textbook, we will discuss with the meaning. For the first word, belay, it is a verb. The meaning is to secure a climber by attaching the rope. Actually, the people, those who are climbing on the mountain, use this rope. And second, cornice, it is a noun. The meaning is overhanging mass of snow or ice along a ridge shaped like a curling crest of a wave. The next one is crampon. It is a noun. The meaning is a metal plate with spikes fixed to a boot for walking on ice. Usually, the mountaineers will use a special shoe to climb on the mountains, something fixed at the bottom of the shoe, which fix in the snow. That is crampon. The next, cramponed, it is a verb. Climbing on ice, wearing a spiked shoes, which I have told you now. Then, encrusted, the meaning is covered with a hard and surface layer. The surface of the mountain or the Himalaya is completely covered with a hard surface layer of the ice. The next, primus is a noun, it is a cooking stove. The mountaineers, they have to carry the vessels and stove to cook food for their living when they were climbing on mountains, because there is no food on the hills. If it is an ordinary hill, there will be fruits and nuts. By eating that, they can survive. But the mountain like Himalayas, the Everest, there won't be any trees, there won't be any fruits, there won't be any nuts. Only the whole mountains slopes covered with a thick layer of the ice. So, they have to, the mountaineers, they have to carry a stove with them to cook food. The next, ridge, it's a noun. The meaning is higher edge or a long narrow hilltop. We can see these relief features on the high mountains, that is a ridge. Next, sardines, it is a noun. Here, a smell of edible fish packed in the tin. Here, we can get a fresh fish to cook, but for the mountaineers, they cannot get that. So, while moving towards the mountain, they will have a packed fish tins with them for their food. Next, scrambling. It is a verb. Here, the meaning is climbing hurriedly on knees and hands and knees. That is scrambling. Because on the slope of the mountain, the mountaineer cannot walk gently. They have to walk hurriedly by keeping the hands on the knees. So, they cannot have a comfortable walk. So, they have to walk scrambling. The meaning is hurriedly on hands and knees. They have to trouble to walk on the slope of the snow covered surface. Next, wriggle. It is a verb. Here, to move with a twist or turn. That is, wriggle means twist or turn. Like here on plains, there is a straight route. We need not to twist or we need not to turn anywhere else, because as it is a plain, you will have a straight route. But whereas on the mountain, the mountaineers would come across deep valleys, in somewhere plains, in somewhere hills, in somewhere duns, valley, longitudinal valleys, in somewhere deep valleys. When they come across deep valleys while moving towards the mountain, they have to take cross, they have to turn other direction to continue their walking towards top of the hill. Right now, let us see the author of the lesson, the summit, that is Edmund Hillary. About the author, Sir Edmund Hillary was one of the greatest explorers and mountaineers of the 20th century. His conquest on Mount Everest and South Pole inspired generations and adventurers and dreamers. He was born in Auckland in New Zealand. He spent his childhood days in Taku, a town in south of the Auckland in New Zealand, where he went to a local primary school. He was gifted with active imagination and had a passion for reading adventure stories. In 1935, during a ski weekend on a school trip to Mount Raupu, Hillary discovered a joy in the mountains and it never left him. The author, Edmund Hillary, often escaped to the mountain to enjoy seeking and hiking, and he developed a love for climbing. Whenever he found time, he escaped from the family and went to a mountain, and he climbed some extent, and he has undertaken a practice from the childhood days itself. A few years later, he climbed his first mountain, the 7,500 feet Mount Oliver in New Zealand. Actually, he escaped from the family and went to the Mount Oliver. He climbed himself without any support. He crossed 7,500 feet. During 1940, Hillary made many climbs in New Zealand, particularly in the Southern Alps. Whenever he find free time, he happened to climb on the mountains. Then he quickly became recognized for his daring, strength and reliability. He joined Sir John Hutt's expedition to the Mount Everest in the Himalayan mountain in Nepal. Mr. John Hunt chose Hillary and Sherpa guide Tenzing Norgay to make an attempt to the climb to the summit of the Mount Everest. A heroic and death-defying climb, the two, Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay reached the summit, the top of the Mount Everest on May 29 in 1953, becoming the first people to reach the top of the world. His high adventure and no latitude for error, nothing venture, nothing win, view from the summit, the remarkable memoir by first person to conquer the Mount Everest are the some of the famous books written by Edmund Hillary. Then there is a quote about quote given by Edmund Hillary. When you go to the mountain, you see them and admire them. It is not my word. It is a very word given by Edmund Hillary. When you go to the mountains, you see them and you admire them. In a sense, they give a challenge to you, because to climb on the mountain will give you a challenge, and you try to express the challenge by climbing on the mountain. We will see the substance of the lesson, the summit, written by Edmund Hillary. The story of the summit narrates the achievement of Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. They achieved success in climbing the summit of the Mount Everest, and here the John Hunter, he is the leader. He led a expedition to the Mount Everest. First, the John Hunt selected Edmund Hillary in his team, and there were 6 members in the mountaineer team. John had selected first Edmund Hillary, and other members subsequently he added. First man in the team, Edmund Hillary. Next, Edmund Hillary from New Zealand, and Tenzing Norgay is from Nepal, and Alfred Grigori and George Lau, and Sherpas of Nepal. Sherpas is nothing but the best mountain climbers, that is Pemba and Nyama. These are the members in the group which led a expedition to the Mount Everest. In the 6 group members, as while undertaking a expedition towards Mount Everest, the Sherpa from Nepal, a guide famous for climbing on mountains in the Nepal. The Pemba was too ill to climb, so he was not able to take part with the group. Others climbed that day to a height of 27,900 feet at 4 a.m. Then they got ready for the climb. Hillary dragged their oxygen sets into the tent, cleaned the ice on the cylinder, and rechecked and tested them, because as they go higher, they find less oxygen. In order to get sufficient oxygen, they have to carry a oxygen cylinder with them. So after reaching certain feet over the mountain, when they feel there is a less oxygen, he cleaned the oxygen cylinder which he carried and tested it whether it is working or not, and he was keep it ready for the next day program to go to the top of a mountain. They pulled the 3 pairs of gloves. See here, empty hands. They cannot move. They cannot touch or catch the ropes, as it give more pain. So they wore a gloves. At 6:30 a.m. they hoisted at 3 lb of oxygen gear on their back, connected with their mask, and turned to the walls to bring life to their lungs. The meaning of this is, as they go higher, when they find there is less oxygen, they fixed the oxygen cylinder on the back, and the wire, the tube connected with the nose, they started to inhale the oxygen to give a life to the lungs. And then they traversed is nothing but on the across the mountain ridges, back towards the ridge, the soft snow made a route on the top of the ridge, both difficult and dangerous. Walking is very dangerous on a slopy mountain, dangerous as well as difficult. Even if it is difficult and dangerous, they walked because they have taken a challenge to reach the top of the mountain, because he is a epitome of, I already told you in the introduction, he is the epitome of adventure, expedition and exploration. So he never bothered about any routes or any slopy rocks, any slopy surfaces. So he started, even if it is a danger, he started, Edmund Hillary and his group started to move towards the top of the mountain. And while climbing on the mountain, and as one person was belaying, I already told you belay means to secure a climber by attaching the rope. A iron rod will be tied with at the end of one rope, and they will throw, and it will fix on the edges or inside the rock which is covered by snow, and then by catching the rope they will walk, and one person will walk, another one person will clear away cutting the ice. They make clear route to walk towards upside. So they had to escape a large overhanging cornices by cutting a line of step down, where the snow melt the rocks on the west. Here the time was passing and the ridge seemed never ending. They go on walking, the time passing, but the ridges means what? The ranges of the mountain covered with snow, there is no ending. So even if there is no ending, they did not feel any hurt. They continued their walk towards the top. And then Hillary looked upwards to see a narrow snow ridge running up to a snowy summit with a few more whacks of the axe in the firm snow. They can be on the top. He has seen a large mass of ice, but anyhow they have to cross it. He had a challenge in him. Whatever the troubles, whatever the obstacles come across, at any cost we have to reach it. The tendency of exploration and expedition and adventure keeping in his mind, and he started to overcome the barriers that he come across on his ways. And they were relieved and grinned and each other as they looked around them. Yes, after reaching some distance, there is no plain region to stand to take relax. They have to stand on the slope of a ice covered mountains by catching the ropes. At the time they relieved and grinned. Grinned means nothing but gasping. What we call whispering in voice with a pain or some other. They cannot express. They can express their pain through grinning. And then they shook hands and thumbed up each other on the back until they were breathed. So when they move one by one, even they are not able to breathe relaxedly, because their duty makes them to forget all pain to walk towards the top of the mountain. It was 11:30 a.m. On the slope of the mountain, Densing Norgay made a small hole in the snow and placed a various small articles of food in it. In the same way, Edmund Hillary also made a small hole on the slope of the mountain to a crucifix which was given to him by John Hunt. They scrambled cautiously over the rock, traversed, moved one at a time, shocky snow sections, and finally they climbed with the eyes wearing spiked shoes back on the south of the peak. Finally, they reached their tent at 2 p.m. Then they turned downwards, safely came down the ridge to the south of the col. See here, they did not move continuously. They will go up some distance. After searching the way, after finding the way, they will come back to the tent again. They will take rest, and the next day they will continue. They did not undertake continuous climbing on the mountains. So for a day they will walk some distance. Whenever they feel tired, and they will come back to the tent again, the next day they will continue their climbing towards the mountain. By facing all the difficulties on the slope of the snow covered mountains, it was unforgettable day for them, because they had finally reached the top of the mountain, that is Everest. After reaching the top of the mountain, that is Mount Everest, Edmund Hillary, Densing Norgay, John Hunt were very happy and shouts with a joy, and they made a handshake and hugs for each other, because they have reached the top and they have reached their goal by undertaking a lot of hard, by facing all the difficulties. They have reached the top of the Mount Everest. They are not able to express their joy. To express their joy, everywhere they are shaking their hands, they jumped themselves, and they have become the heroes of the Mount Everest, because they are the first fellows. The Densing Norgay and Edmund Hillary are the first, are the two fellows first reached the top of the mountains. In this way, they have undertaken the expedition. They finally reached the top of the hill. Then after reaching the top, the climax over, then the adventure is over. In this session, we have seen the glossary, I mean hard words from the lesson, and about the author and substance of the lesson. In the next session, we will go through the textbook line one by one, and then we will see synonyms, and I will explain synonyms and antonyms in the next class. Thank you.